At our daughter's graduation, my husband stood up and declared he was leaving me for a new life. His girlfriend sat among our friends, and silence filled the room. I simply smiled, congratulated him for finally being honest, and handed him an envelope. The moment he opened it, his face turned pale, and he screamed, "A fancy restaurant in Augusta, Georgia, all decked out with white tablecloths, crystal glasses, and the kind of soft jazz that makes you feel like you're in a movie. We're there to celebrate my daughter Amelia's college graduation. She's 22, radiant in her cap and gown, her smile lighting up the room. I'm sitting there, 4 years old, proud as hell, thinking about how we made it. 28 years of marriage, a beautiful daughter, a life we built brick by brick. My husband Gregory stands up, champagne glass in hand, ready to give a toast. I'm expecting him to gush about Amelia, our shining star. Instead, he looks at me, and with his smug little smirk, he says, "I've decided to start a new life without you." The room goes silent. Forks stop clinking, conversations freeze. 50 pairs of eyes bounce between me and Gregory like we're the main event at a boxing match. My daughter's face crumples, her cap tilting slightly as she stares at her dad in horror. And there, at a back table, is Cassandra Wells, his 37-year-old girlfriend, shifting awkwardly in her seat, surrounded by friends I thought were mine. Friends who knew about the affair and never said a word. I could have cried, I could have screamed, thrown my wine glass, made the dramatic exit everyone was waiting for, but I didn't. I smiled. "Congratulations on your honesty," I said, my voice steady as a rock, and then I reached into my purse, pulled out a cream-colored envelope, and slid it across the table to Gregory. "Something for you to read later," I told him, cool as you please. I turned to Amelia, kissed her cheek, and whispered, "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. This day is still yours." Then I stood, smoothed my dress, and addressed the room. "Please, enjoy your meal. Have a lovely afternoon." And with that, I walked out, head high, feeling every single stare on my back. The heavy restaurant door swung shut behind me, muffling the whispers that erupted the second I left. Outside, the Augusta summer heat slammed into me like a freight train, but for the first time in years, I could breathe. Let me back up a bit. For 28 years, I played the part of the perfect wife and mother. I'm Bianca Caldwell, and I've spent my life holding things together. When Gregory wanted to chase his dreams, 3 business ventures, 2 career switches, and God knows how many finding himself phases, I was the one who made it work. I put my own dreams on hold. Dreams of starting a financial consultancy for women, because family came first. I raised Amelia, our brilliant girl, who just graduated with honors. I worked extra hours as a finance manager at Trivanta Corp when Gregory quit his stable job to sell handcrafted furniture, a passion that lasted about 6 months before he got bored. I saved for Amelia's college fund when his risky investments tanked. I was the practical one, the glue, the one who kept the ship afloat. But 3 months before that restaurant bombshell, I noticed something off. Small transfers in our joint accounts, money moving to places I didn't recognize. I've been a financial professional for 30 years. Numbers don't lie to me. Red flags were waving, but instead of confronting Gregory, I listened to my gut. I started digging. What I found? Worse than I ever imagined. Gregory had been siphoning money into a secret account for over a year. Expensive dinners, jewelry, even a deposit on a beachfront property. All for Cassandra, the woman who'd been to our Christmas parties, who once called me for career advice. I found text messages on his unlocked phone, plans for their new life together, starting the day after Amelia's graduation. He thought he was so slick, plotting his grand exit while I was none the wiser. Here's the thing about Gregory. He underestimated me. He forgot about the prenup we signed 28 years ago, back when I had more family money than he did. He insisted on it to protect his future earnings, but it included a fidelity clause, one that would bite him in the ass. While he was dreaming of beach houses with Cassandra, I was building a case. I consulted attorneys, documented every shady transfer, gathered proof of their affair. I filed for divorce the morning of Amelia's graduation, timing it so he wouldn't see it coming. That envelope I handed him, it wasn't just divorce papers. It was the first move in a chess game I'd been playing for months. I didn't go back to the restaurant. I drove to our colonial home in Augusta's historic district, the one we'd bought 15 years ago, the one he'd already promised to Cassandra in those texts he didn't know I'd seen. Walking inside felt surreal. The family photos on the walls, my dad's old grandfather clock, the worn leather couch where we used to plan our future. It all looked the same, but it wasn't. Upstairs, I found Gregory's suitcases already packed, hidden in the closet, ready for his big escape. I almost laughed at how predictable he was. My phone was blowing up, texts from friends, Amelia, even Gregory's sister, Diana. I only answered Amelia, "I'm okay, sweetheart. This isn't your burden. Enjoy your day. I love you." I'd kept her in the dark to protect her final semester, but I knew she'd be mad I didn't tell her sooner. She's got my practicality and her dad's charisma, a lethal combo that got her through college with honors. 3 hours later, Gregory stormed into the house, waving that envelope like a madman. "Bianca, what the hell is this? What have you done?" he shouted, his face red, his confidence gone. I was in the living room, calmly reviewing documents on my laptop. I closed it and looked at him. "I thought it aligned nicely with your plans," I said. "You wanted a new life. I'm just helping you get there." He tried to argue the prenup had expired. I smiled. "Actually, Section 12 says the fidelity clause lasts the entire marriage. Your lawyer should have told you that." "Oh wait, you didn't consult one, did you?" His face went white. That prenup he'd insisted on would cost him the house, our Savannah vacation property, his chunk of our retirement accounts, everything. His big restaurant announcement, the most expensive mistake of his life. He collapsed onto the couch, muttering, "You can't do this to me." I didn't flinch. "We built this life together, Gregory, and you chose to end it, just not the way you planned." His phone kept buzzing. Cassandra no doubt wondering why he wasn't sticking to their script. He tried to appeal to our history, 28 years of memories, miscarriages we grieved together, our 10th anniversary trip to Charleston. "What about that?" he asked, his voice softer, like he thought he could charm his way out. Our history meant everything, I said, my throat tightening. That's why your betrayal cut so deep. I pulled out my phone and played a recording, his voice plotting with Cassandra. After the graduation, I'll tell her it's over. A public setting's better. She won't make a scene. Then Cassandra, she has no idea about the money? Gregory, none. Bianca trusts me completely. That's her weakness. His jaw dropped. You recorded us? He sputtered. Not illegal in Georgia when one party consents. I said, I'm not cruel, Gregory. I only recorded what I needed to protect myself. He stormed out to make calls, probably to a lawyer who'd tell him he was screwed. I told him I'd be at Diana's that night. His sister, who'd spotted him with Cassandra last Christmas and warned me when he didn't end it. Everyone's betraying me, he muttered as I grabbed my bag. Ironic, isn't it? I shot back. I left him standing there, his phone buzzing with Cassandra's demands. At Diana's cozy bungalow, she greeted me with a hug and a glass of wine. I can't believe he made a spectacle at the restaurant, she said, shaking her head. It was meant to humiliate me, I explained. A public rejection, so I'd stay quiet. We sat in her sunroom, surrounded by books and plants, and I told her about the envelope, divorce papers, evidence of his financial games, and that damning prenup. Diana laughed bitterly. He insisted on that prenup to protect his money? The irony's delicious. Amelia showed up soon after, still in her graduation dress, tears smudging her makeup. Why didn't you tell me? She asked, collapsing into my arms. I didn't want to ruin your moment, I said, stroking her hair. She was furious at Gregory, who was already spinning a story that I'd lost my mind. Let him talk, I told her. The truth always comes out. Then Gregory and Cassandra showed up at Diana's uninvited. He was furious, demanding I unfreeze our accounts. Amelia stepped in front of me, fierce as ever. You blew up our family on my graduation day, and you think this doesn't involve me? She snapped. Cassandra looked ashamed, admitting she thought Gregory would handle it privately. Cracks were already forming in their little alliance. Diana kicked them out, and after they left, Amelia cried in my arms. I've never talked to Dad like that, she said. Sometimes standing up for what's right hurts, I told her. Diana raised her wine glass. To new beginnings. I clinked my glass against hers, feeling something shift inside me. The preliminary hearing was a week later in a small courtroom on a rainy Tuesday. The judge, a no-nonsense woman, upheld the prenup and kept our joint accounts frozen. Gregory's lawyer, some kid from a corporate firm, was out of his depth. The judge practically rolled her eyes when he tried to argue the prenup had expired. I walked out of that courtroom with a house and my financial security intact. Gregory, he was left with his failing business and a personal account that wouldn't last long. Word spread fast. Friends called, some supportive, others fishing for gossip. I stayed classy, saying only, Gregory and I are separating. These things happen. Meanwhile, his perfect image, successful businessman, devoted dad, crumbled. Cassandra bailed when she realized his substantial savings were a lie. The beach house deal fell through. His luxury car deposit canceled. 2 weeks after the hearing, Diana told me Cassandra had moved out, already dating some real estate hotshot from Savannah. I laughed. He's always been good at selling illusions. While Gregory's world fell apart, I was building mine. I used my separate savings, money he didn't know about, to rent a small office downtown. Caldwell Financial Transitions was born, my dream of helping women navigate finances during divorces, widowhood, or career shifts. My first clients were 2 women going through their own breakups, and word of mouth brought more. For the first time, I felt needed for my brain, not just my nurturing. Amelia, now working in Charleston, called me one day, beaming through the phone. Mom, you're helping people through their worst moments. I'm so proud. I smiled, tears pricking my eyes. I'm just doing what I wish someone had done for me. The final divorce hearing fell on what would have been our 29th anniversary. Poetic, right? Gregory looked like a shell of himself. His business was tanking, Cassandra was gone, and most of our friends had ditched him. The judge upheld the prenup in full. I kept the house, my retirement accounts, and 70% of our investments. Gregory walked away with his clothes, his failing business, and barely enough cash for a cheap apartment. As we left the courtroom, he tried one last time. I made a terrible mistake, Bianca. Is there any chance? I cut him off, gentle but firm. That door's closed. He nodded, and for the first time in years, he looked sincere. I hope you find happiness. You deserve it. I believed he meant it. 6 months later, my consultancy is thriving. I've moved to a bigger office, hired 2 associates, and I'm helping women take control of their futures. Amelia visits often, proud of the life I built. If Dad had just been honest, she said once, he might have kept half of everything. I nodded. Sometimes people can't see past what they want in the moment. That envelope I handed Gregory wasn't just my revenge, it was my liberation. I didn't just secure my financial future, I reclaimed myself. The woman who was once just a wife and mother is now a mentor, a business owner, and advocate. I'm Bianca Caldwell, and this is my new beginnings.